Welcome to the Girlfriend's Guide to Senior Living. I'm Gail Peacock.
And I'm Lori Williams.
And we are so happy you could join us. We're passionate about helping families navigate the senior living maze. Each episode, we will share with you our knowledge of senior living and help you to eliminate the uncertainties you face in the search for senior resources.
Hey, girlfriends. Welcome to the show. You're probably wondering what we're doing. Our show is about baby boomers. So we're traveling back in time a little bit and pretend these are those little 60s sunglasses. That's what we were going for. We couldn't find them, so we're improvising. So use your imagination. Okay? So we are talking about baby boomers and how they are redefining what old age looks like. So we had there we are. Okay, there's the picture. So we wanted to find something really like a 60s icon, like the VW bus, and we couldn't find one because they don't make them anymore, but they will start making them again in 2021. So we found this awesome guy. His name is Kyle. He's with Photobus, and he let us come out to his house, and he took the pictures of us, and we have a ton of just hilarious pictures, but that's what we're going for, kind of this this vibe all about the 60s and baby boomers when they started and moving forward. So that's the show.
So boomers are not afraid of confrontation, and they will not hesitate to challenge any authority or the status quo. So they are making a big stride in changes. So we're trying to figure out, still to this day, how do we market to them and give them what they want and find out what they do want and then give them what their wants are. So that's what we're going to be kind of hitting on today.
Yeah, so we're going to do first a
Go
little
back.
travel back in time with us. So we're going to do a little history lesson first. So just to kind of know about the boomers.
I'm going to be bored.
Shut up. I like the History Channel. I love the History Channel. So anyhow, so we're talking about boomers, and the generation of boomers were 1946 to 1964. There were 76 million of them.
Yep.
So today, their age range is 54 to 72.
That's who we're talking to right now.
That's who we're talking to
yes.
right there. And I am a boomer. I am the end of the boomers, 1964. So when you think of baby boomers and thinking about, the 60s, them coming of age, we think of like different like nicknames basically that they had. So they were the hippies, and then when you kind of move more into the 80s or the yuppies, so I kind of think with yuppies, I think like that movie Wall Street.
Yes.
So just kind of like greed and corruption. And
because they had money and they were getting all cocky with the money that they had.
Exactly. They were just spending it on everything. So that's kind of what we think about. So how it kind of came, the baby boom happened was at the end of World War II, all the guys came back and they passed a GI Bill, which allowed them to buy homes at very low interest rates, which most people before that really didn't own their own home. And then also they could go to college, and I guess they paid for most of the college, but they made it an attractive deal for them. So these guys, came back from war and they want to start families and just have, a nice life. And that was really the beginning, because they could buy homes at the beginning of what the suburbs are today. Right. So they were building like the tract homes, and everyone had a house, and it was really
a yard and the whole kids playing outside with that whole like America, what people think, the American dream is, if you will.
Exactly. And so the boomers came of age during like the time of the greatest American prosperity. So, people were buying homes, they had cars, they had TVs, which they hadn't had before. And kind of an interesting fact that I hadn't really thought about, but the boomers are the first generation to kind of be raised on TV. They had TV from the very beginning. We don't know a life without it. I mean, granted, we had 3 channels, but
right, exactly,
and the rabbit ears,
the ears, and so it was like family time. She had one TV, so it wasn't like you could really have a real TV that you could all be in. Like nowadays, all of the kids and the devices, and they're all watching different shows. Everyone watched, the 10 Commandments. You with me as a family?
And you didn't have a clicker. Like the kids were the clicker. Like your parent would say,
would
"Could you change the channel?"
And our kids are like, "What?"
I know they would be very confused by that. But we were kind of looking and thinking about some of the TV shows that people may remember, like I remember Bonanza, and I'm kind of embarrassed to say I remember there's Adam, Haas, and Little Joe, which she had no idea what I was talking about. But you
Brady
remember,
Bunch? I mean, I'm just kidding.
yeah, well, and Happy Days,
Yes.
and all those shows that were what we watched
Right.
in that time. But interesting to think that we're the first generation raised on
with
TV,
TV,
and now look, there's like 5 billion channels. So, and then I thought this was kind of a fun word. We've been saying it,
yes.
but so the baby boomers have always been sort of like the social and political rabble rousers. So
Rabble.
they
Is that
were.
a word?
It was. I mean, I wrote it down. Rabble
Rabble.
rouser. So, but they were the ones who did. So like civil rights, equal rights, all the
They were
sit-ins,
fighters.
protests.
They were like,
yeah, they wanted
believed.
to, like you said, they wanted to change the status quo,
Yes.
and they really did. When you look back, all the things that we enjoy now is because of those who fought for those rights.
And they did
before.
have to fight pretty hard.
Yeah, they
which
did.
kind of goes into our whole thing of, so was this group really
Hey
reject?
Gail, would you mind pulling the microphone slightly, move it around? Because when we did the mic check, it seemed like it was fine, but
Oh,
looks
but
like
now it
it's
doesn't
some
like me?
adjustment, just a little bit. A
This
little
way?
more. The other way.
The other way.
The other way. That way. Oh, too much. Too much. A little more. Oh,
Hello?
perfect.
But has anyone ever?
that better?
Has anyone ever asked Gail Peacock to speak louder?
No. Oh my God! Write down the day and the time in July.
It's not
9th.
about. So funny enough is just that because Gail projects so much her voice, it's picked up on the other microphone. So if it's not aligned, hey, here's a tip about production here.
Please.
It needs to be aligned. But that's it. Thank you.
How's that? Is that
Yeah,
better?
it sounds
Okay.
way better.
Okay.
Oh,
Thank you,
good.
my friend. I don't want
Good.
to be on Lori's mic.
No,
you know what
please
I'm saying?
don't.
Take off her sunshine. So we're trying to see if it's more, were they rejecting traditional values or were they redefining what the traditional values were? So we could say in a loving way that they were just trying to make it their own, or were they just rejecting everything that was the past because they wanted to be X, whatever that would be. So we're going to kind of talk about that, and I was getting like heebie-jeebies because we were talking about how in the, I'm going to say olden days, which is probably rude, but that the wife always made the husband's plate, like when they would serve dinner. So the wife would go and make the plate and bring it to the gentleman, and he would be sitting at the table like
he's the
waiting
king.
for it,
Yeah.
if you will. I'm like, hello, you have 2 arms,
No.
you have 2 feet.
Yeah, bring the
Yeah.
cocktail.
Yes, exactly.
Yes, wait at the door with the martini, looking all pretty.
all pretty in
Yeah.
your apron and everything. So we had a few giggles over that because seriously, but so that's part of it. They also during this time they reached their peak of their careers a lot of times, so they were definitely making more money, so they had more disposable incomes. So they become obviously more influential because they were making more money, so people unfortunately would be listening more and all that kind of stuff. And this is kind of like our little interesting fact that we went into a long conversation about. So this was kind of the first generation that marketing people were starting to market to this baby boomer as a big old group of people.
because of their buying power and
Yes.
influential. So
And they had the money, they had disposable income, so they were willing to spend the money. So people were actually marketing. And one of the interesting things that Lori and I were kind of talking about, and we had many interesting conversations over this topic, but
Yes.
about the whole midlife crisis phenomenon, if you will, where maybe people, we were all like conspiracy, maybe people were actually marketing that, do you feel like this? Is this, you know what I mean? Where almost put them into midlife
yeah,
crisis.
and they're like, I need a
Yes.
Corvette.
Yes. And so were you really out to buy a Corvette, or was it that people were making you think
Yeah.
since you're 50 now or whatever?
40. I think it was 40.
You
was-
needed back
back
a
then.
Corvette. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
so
that you've
anyway,
worked hard and you
that's-
deserve this. Yeah.
It was very interesting
Yeah.
to us. We
So
liked that. Whoops,
we-
I touched the mic again.
We had a lot of thoughts
yes.
about that. And then I just thought this was kind of funny, and I'm going to ask Gail, see if she knows. But what
Probably don't.
were the most common baby boomer names? The most popular for
Yeah.
male and female?
So
What
I
you
was
got?
going to say like Anne for a girl and Joseph.
No, those are good, but wrong.
Okay.
So I need a buzzer. They were James, probably called Jim. I know a lot
Yeah.
of Jims, and Mary. I know a lot of Marys.
I know. I'm like, how vanilla? Because, today's world, we have kids that are called Blue. We have kids that are called, isn't it like Apple?
Apple.
Yeah.
Thank
oh my
you.
God, my
Yes.
reading.
Yes.
That's right.
I mean, that's jacked up. People are just like, hey, I feel like the sky's blue. I'm going to name my kid Sky Blue, you know. But back in, those are very traditional, I guess.
Very traditional names, yeah.
Traditional kind of break and all that. All right.
Definitely. So we're going to kind of move into baby boomer, like what they want and things about their lifestyle. So one, this popped out to us over and over, and I can concur as a baby boomer. The last of the baby boomers. I'm not old. Not that I'm saying they're old.
That.
Yeah. So,
Pay
and that's
attention.
exactly what it is. Like, baby boomers see themselves as young, not old. They don't see themselves as they are. So, like, they say 60 is the new 40, or in my case, 55 is the new 35, maybe 25.
She wants 25.
I'm surprised. Normally you hear it from like 10 years prior, not 20, but that's
Yeah,
oh,
that's in Lori's book of Loriisms. I'm 25, and I did give her the look of when she said. But anyway, we're gonna let her go because she's a big deal.
Yeah.
So
okay. I'm gonna go with 35.
allow it.
Okay. So, but
you're still hot at 35, man.
There you go. That's right. I'll tell my husband that.
Yes.
So the other thing is that baby boomers are the generation that they're living longer, they're healthier. And when we were talking about this, we're thinking back. I think of my grandmother, and she was probably 58, 59, and she looked like an old lady. I mean, people, or if you watch TV shows like from the 60s and you're seeing the person and you're like, oh, they're probably like 60, and then they're 35 or something. You're like, oh my gosh. So it's interesting how that has changed, and people see themselves as younger, and they're taking better care of themselves.
Their health is
healthier.
better.
They're exercising.
Yes.
You don't see as many people smoking either, where everyone was smoking back then.
In the day,
you smoked everywhere.
And we were kind of talking about how, because everyone's about their health and feeling younger and feeling more I can do this, like conquering-ish, I guess, that there's all these new products that are out there in the world because we care about what we look like, new exercise programs, Botox, drugs. So the baby boomers have opened up a huge piece of marketing now that really wasn't there either, and they're creating products to this huge group
who want to stay young.
Yes. It hits all their kind of bells and whistles, too.
It does. Some other things about baby boomers that they tend to be definitely more active, whereas if you think back, like 20 years ago even, that, you know, the seniors you think about them playing bingo or playing cards and not really being active, whereas baby boomers, and I mean, we're talking people in their 70s and going forward, that they want to travel, they want to volunteer, they're starting companies, starting businesses, and, you know, things that people years ago they just the thought was, I'm going to retire at 65 and done, or 62, and back then wasn't it 62?
Right,
Isn't
that's what we figured. Yeah.
So now it's 65 or 67.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh! So we're never retiring.
Yeah, pretty much. We're going to be wrinkly by 67. Maybe
Exactly.
Maybe not.
Yeah. No, we're not going to be wrinkly.
No,
because we have products, and
yes,
I stay out of the sun, which.
Yeah.
By the way,
Go ahead. Throw me under the bus.
We had to switch places today because I was too pale over there, so that's why I'm here, because Gail is nice and tan and I'm not. But
just playing to your strengths.
That's right.
That's what we're doing.
Exactly.
So
thank you, Anna. I don't feel so tainted.
You're such a
trying to pick a nice word, but I couldn't find one.
Oh my gosh. The other thing, we talk about baby boomers continuing to work. A lot are doing it because they want to stay active. They don't want to sit in a rocking chair and, you know, like the old way of thinking. They want to be active and involved, but there's a need for it, because so many baby boomers. And as we looked more into this, we were like, yeah, okay, so used to be you would be in a job for 40 years, then retire and get a pension. Well, with baby boomers, that's just not the way of the world anymore.
The companies aren't offering that. There's layoff issues.
Constant
where
layoffs.
People are doing layoffs, which back in the day, you work for your company, you never even lost a night's sleep over, am I going to be laid off?
Yeah.
That's another big piece. And the parents or the grandparents are taking care of their grandkids now, because if they didn't have a good job, the kids can't support their kids or whatever.
Yeah.
The grandparents are kind of taking over, or they're helping their kids, which how many people out of our age, when you graduate from college, you move back home. You know, and really, if you think about it, and we have kids that are,
Yeah.
you know, close, hers already graduated college, mine's 1 year away, and they're going to move into the house. And so they still expect the grocery, you know what I mean? All
Yeah.
those things that you're still paying for.
Exactly.
So that's a big difference.
It is. And then also, what was the other thing we found out? I mean, the divorce. So that's a big one. There's actually a term for people getting divorced in their 50s. It's called gray divorce.
Because you have gray hairs.
Yeah.
But if you color them, it's amazing how things. Again, the products that they've come up with these days.
You're going to watch that gray. Remember that commercial?
Oh, I'm going to wash that gray right out of my hair. I'm going to wash that gray right out of my hair.
That's right.
Again, to the baby boomers who were more, I'm going to use the word vanity, which she's probably not going to like that word.
Well, no,
but
it's true.
They kind
Yeah.
of brought in the whole vanity and feeling and looking and
Yeah. Definitely. So then we were kind of researching, okay, why are people getting divorced in their
Yes.
50s? Well, it's all tied to people living longer. And so I guess back in the day, if you didn't like your husband, I like mine. Okay, Mark, I like you. But if you didn't like your husband, you're like, well, I only have maybe 10 years left. I'll deal with it. But now at 50, you could have 30 plus more years to live. So
it's like your second half or whatever they call that,
Yeah.
where people aren't just going to deal with it, if you will. They're going to actually be like, no, or they're starting a new job. They're a new you. They've had Botox and they have hair extensions and they're looking amazing. And now they want something more. And the other thing that we were talking about is this baby boomer group, they have wants. Where I think our parents and grandparents were just happy with the status quo, if I may use that again.
exactly.
And now you actually have wants, you have things on your bucket list. That's something else that has come up. Bucket list items. They're climbing like Mount Everest and all these crazy things that is on their bucket list that's very physical.
Well, and they're traveling. Like, I remember my grandmother always wanted to go to Hawaii. She never got to go there. But I mean, that's more and more people, I think, travel even outside the country now, where they really didn't in the past.
And because it's more accessible too.
True.
You know what I mean? Like computers have made our lives so much easier, which is during all this time to be able to fly and do different things.
And even housing. So people are moving to apartments, ditching the suburb life, and moving downtown for apartments and smaller houses.
Those are the millennials. So that's the other thing that's changing things. So the millennials, which is the group coming in now, they're a bigger group than the baby boomers, and they're rejecting a lot of what the baby boomers like. And so this can be interesting too going forward. So what's going to happen? Like, they don't want the big house. My son's a millennial. It's all about minimalism, just experiences.
A lot of them
traveling.
don't even want a car. And that's, like in a lot of the different cities that I've traveled to, they have a car share program, which I think is absolutely nuts. But you just show up at a spot and you're like, yeah, I need to rent a car for an hour, and you pay for it. You have an hour, you do your ditties, you come back, you return it for 1 hour you paid for. So like in New
Zip
York
cars.
and these places that it's $1 million to park, or they're doing Uber, or those kind of ride share programs where, like a lot of my friends, they never bring a car to the airport and park it, which I do because I'm old school. But they just Uber, and then they call the Uber when, you know what I mean? And they're saving, they are saving money.
By the way, even though I'm older, I do Uber to the airport or Lyft.
Oh, yeah,
really?
it's so
I do.
convenient.
Yes, ma'am, I do.
So actually, what I was talking about is some article that came out on the Dallas news. So maybe it's not across the country, but it's in Dallas. And I actually met people that moved to downtown because they're like, I still want to enjoy my life. I want to go out with my friends. I want to hang out and go to restaurants. So we're talking about the vanity, enjoying life. That's why people moving from the suburbs to the city center, because they want to use more of that lifestyle.
That urban,
Yeah.
walkable,
Yeah.
that
get your
different-
groceries, like back in the day when they
Yeah.
would go to the grocery store
Yeah.
and they would buy what they're making for
Sure.
dinner tonight. And we as a family, we shop once for the whole week, you
Yeah.
know, and if you have to go to the store, it's like, ugh, why do I have to go to the store,
That's true.
And that kind of moves us all these different. I wanted to hit on that forgotten middle because this
Yes,
is kind of tender to my heart a
definitely.
little bit. So the forgotten middle is becoming. It's starting to evolve in our industry, in the senior
And
industry.
I am seeing it.
And,
because
yeah.
I'm talking to the seniors, so I am seeing it.
People
definitely.
that didn't save, they don't have a pension, and they're struggling they call it the forgotten middle, because they're struggling to be able to afford the services that they need in their senior living, life, if you will.
Beautiful retirement communities
Yes.
they can't afford. And then the other side of it, you have these income-based properties that they don't qualify for. So they're falling into the forgotten middle.
And
So-
there are some companies now, thank you, that are starting they're calling it affordable, because there's tax credit properties. That's more income based, and then there's the affordable, which is kind of the word they're using. But as I talk to developers in my role, a lot of them they want the luxury and they want that sexy brand sells, if you will. And so I'm going to use the word vanilla, but a regular community that's going to hit all what your needs are, not so much your wants as much, but the need base are going to be covered. And so that's not sexy, so nobody wants that piece of business. Like they don't want to invest in that, which is going to be, as we were doing research, it's going to be a huge section of the business. And that business, so who's going to target that business, I guess? And that kind of flows us into
Exactly.
the effects of senior living and what those are.
What are we going to see going forward? So we're here. It's the baby boomers are starting in 2011. The first group of them start turning 65, and now this is kind of amazing to think about. 10,000 boomers a day reach retirement age. That's pretty crazy.
Yeah.
So, I mean, we're still trying to figure out, everyone's trying to figure out what's going to happen with senior living, what they're going to market to the baby boomers. And, I mean, we were talking about this, it's really early days still. Right?
Yeah, it's only, as we were saying, it's only been really 8 years, if I do the math right. It's been 8 years that, we've had such a surge in senior living, and a lot of the developers, like the one developer I worked with, we did focus groups, and we were really trying to understand, what is your need for the 55 business? What do you want? What are you looking for? And then we hit all the bells and whistles, and then I decided, now that I see that, I don't want that. Or they said, I don't really want to pay the amount that you want for that garage. I want a garage, but I'm not going to pay for it. So it's almost like their wants and how much money they have don't mesh. So the developer side is losing, right? Because they built all this and expecting income, but they don't want to pay for it. So we're still in a little bit of infancy stage. So for the boomers, we're 20 years, let's say, that time frame. So we're only 8 years into this new. So maybe that's why a lot of developers are struggling, because a lot of them are.
Because people don't know what they want yet. So, I mean, it's going to be interesting to see. I think we're going to see a lot of completely different from what we have now, because boomers don't want the real regimented lifestyle. So, in a lot of the current retirement communities, a lot of them are changing now, but you have you eat breakfast at 8:30, you eat lunch at 12, and we
and
want
you eat
options.
heavy foods, and like starches,
Mm-hmm.
and you know what I mean, the same vegetable medley or whatever.
So maybe like meatloaf and mashed potatoes appeal to the generation before, but now what boomers are going to want are like Mediterranean diet, keto, gluten-free. And I visited a community about a month ago, and it's an assisted living and memory care, and what they're doing is they feel like nutrition can have an effect on dementia. So everything is grown fresh. They do the keto diet, they do Mediterranean, they have these options, and they're seeing results. They're seeing that with the proper nutrition, it's making a difference.
And that's kind of this senior living industry is listening, and I think sometimes instead of waiting to see, they're jumping. And so a lot of companies though are out there trying to hit that luxury brand. The Overture brand is definitely luxury rentals, so it's not a purchase. And Del Webb, you own a home, but it still has that ambiance of neighborhood, community,
activities,
all those, and the Jimmy Buffett Margaritaville.
That's where I want to go. The flip-flop lifestyle.
Yeah,
like
that has our name written all over
and
it.
those are homes that you purchase, right?
Right. Yes.
Is he going to have some that you rent too?
In the future, they talked about having some rentals, and that's a very laid back, a beach theme. So if that's, which I do love the beach. So
I do too, but I need a lot of sunscreen.
She needs an umbrella, and it's all good.
And a big
she
floppy
enjoys
hat.
it, yeah. But it's all good if you can enjoy it. And it's niche, and that's what we were kind of talking about. It's niche marketing, if you will. So if you hated the beach and you hate Jimmy Buffett music, obviously you're not going to move there. But you have other options of the Del Webb, and you have, the Overture if you just want a rental because you want to travel, like Lori was saying,
And we're seeing a lot of these little neighborhoods. Not like Del Webb is huge, but we're seeing these smaller neighborhoods that are built for 55 and up, maybe like 40 homes in them with a small little community room. So they're trying to hit the niche, like you said, for everyone. And the other one I want you to talk about, I love this, the Storyline cruise ship.
Oh, yeah. So
That's
they have,
really cool.
they're going to be rolling it out next year, 2020. And it's actually a cruise ship that you buy the units. So it's pretty much like a condo building, but it's on water. And they have all the Taj Mahal, cooking and the chefs and all that kind of stuff. So it's going to be pretty much your luxury condo on water. And they're looking for senior communities or companies to actually buy units. And then they can start selling that they have, apartments on the water, however you want to say that. So that's going to be hitting another niche. So the Jimmy Buffett people,
and then the people who want to cruise, and then who watch Golden Girls in the 80s.
Oh,
I love that show. So there is a company called Silver Nest that does home sharing, and they help match seniors together to share a home. Roommates, So we were talking about Golden Girls, and we were trying to determine who we would be. So, there's Blanche, Rose, Dorothy, and Sophia. So what was kind of funny is that I'm short, but we figured my personality was more Dorothy, who's the tallest one, and Gail is Sophia, the grandma,
the short white-haired grandma.
But she was sassy and a lot of fun.
She's sassy and
very sassy.
But as we said, Dorothy always gave the zingers that nobody was expecting, and that's totally
and followed
Lori.
the rules. Yeah.
And she was a rule follower, and she tried to kibitz everybody together. And then Sophia's like, pretty much, this is what I'm doing, and either you come
she just said whatever she wanted to. So we thought it was funny.
Yeah, that's kind of interesting.
Yeah.
Think about that. Figure out who you are. Put a little ditty on our Facebook.
Yeah, tell us who you are.
Yes.
So then the other thing is that boomers love gadgets and technology, and this is so cool. So there is, my daughter had actually heard of this. I had never heard of it. So there is, in Japan, there's a toilet seat that you can purchase, and it actually will, it's going to weigh you, take your temperature, test your urine and blood sugar for cholesterol levels, and then it sends the results to your doctor.
You don't have to do anything.
Do nothing.
But you could hide nothing, too. You with me?
Oh, true.
So, and my friend who just got back from Japan was telling me about these Taj Mahal toilets that had heated seats and all this, and I was a little, And then Lori brings this, and I'm like, okay, so the toilet might be the new invention that people need to be sinking some money into.
Well, and then we were just talking about, technology just goes at warp speed now, right? So when we were, when I was even in college, I would have laughed at you if you said, one day you're going to be able to see who you're talking to on your phone. And we were just talking, Gail called me on Saturday. She was FaceTiming me. So first I ignored her because I looked like I was in my pajamas and everything. So then she calls me again. So I finally answered. I was in my closet, and she wanted to show me something that we were, having printed. So, but who would have ever thought? I mean,
you can see face to face.
Yeah.
And we were also saying about your watch, your Apple Watch now, so you can have pretty much a computer screen that's this tiny on your thing. And then, of course, I had to make a joke to be like, Kit, come pick me up, Kit.
And that was from Knight Rider. I have all this useless information.
And then it would ride up. Anyway, that just dates us all.
It was so good. I remember.
that was a good show.
I love that show. David Hasselhoff.
The
he was so
Hoff.
cute.
The Hoff.
Yes. So we have talked a lot about baby boomers. They have definitely forged a path of their own. Now we'll wait for the millennials. As Lori said, we might not be here at that time.
Well, we'll be there for hopefully for some of it.
Yes. And so they are redefining what it looks like and feels like to be older, which is a benefit for all of us that aren't there yet. You know what I'm saying? The younger people.
She's not that young.
And so it should be very interesting. She's just rabble-rouser you.
Well, I am.
Okay, I'm going to use that going forward.
That is a good one.
So we have something else that we want to share about something that we're doing. Lori, kick it off, babe.
Okay, so we have an event. It's up on the screen. It's called Aging with Style. So mark your calendar. It's going to be October 5th in Flower Mound at MSU, Texas. They've been generous enough to let us take over the building. Yes. And so,
it's a college.
It's beautiful.
It's beautiful.
And we're going to have breakout sessions with speakers, and we're just going to be talking about aging with style. And it's going to be about different types of senior living. We're going to have someone talk about downsizing, what that looks like, someone talk about dementia, and then we'll have lots of vendors out with information. So it's just going to be a great day of learning, and also you get to meet us. You
Yeah,
can buy
we're
and
going to
see
talk
us.
about senior living. I know you're
Yeah.
so surprised.
Just see us in person. That's so
Yeah,
exciting.
and we will do photos just in case. A photo opportunity.
Yes.
We got that too.
So we'll be posting a lot about
And
this
it's
and
free.
talking.
Did she say it's free?
Yeah,
It's free. It's
Oh,
free.
and you get breakfast too.
Yeah. Lori's going to make homemade something. Just kidding. No, her daughter
I'm not.
will. Abby.
No, I'm not.
Get busy.
Sam's or
Yeah.
Costco.
We won't be doing that. So we're very excited
yeah,
to
we
share.
are.
We have it on our Facebook page. Please share it with your family and friends, people in the area, because as we are a nationwide show, if you know people in Dallas, hook us up. And we appreciate you joining us today. If you, again, do our little send-off, follow us on Facebook.
Oh, yes. Okay,
She's so good at this.
Remember, you can find us on our Facebook page, on YouTube, podcast, and Alexa. You can find us anywhere. We're out there.
We appreciate you.
Thank
Thanks,
you.
guys.
Thank you for tuning in today. We hope you enjoyed this episode. As your girlfriends, we'd love to hear from you. Each episode will feature new questions. Don't keep it a secret. Share us with your friends. We're on Facebook, YouTube, podcast platforms, and even in your Alexa. See you.